The fallout of COVID-19 goes well beyond getting sick. Many in Central Ohio are without jobs, and some even wondering where their next meal will come from. We've heard your questions and your concerns, and tonight we're here to help you get answers. We're shining the light on the issues affecting your lives to help you move forward. Hi everyone, I'm Yolanda Harris. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on 10 TV, Shining the Light. We're asking your questions because we're hoping to do just that, shine the light on the issues that we know are affecting your lives each day as we work together to pull through this pandemic. We begin tonight with the topic of unemployment. We are joined now by Ohio Department of Job and Family Service Director Kim Hall. And Director Hall, thank you for joining us tonight. First off, we open this up to our viewers for questions, and we've already received several, but can you still send your questions tonight? You all can send your questions tonight. So we're waiting for them to send more questions, but we're going to go with the ones that we have at this point. And I can tell you at this point, right now, the questions we've gotten the most of, the common thread here is that we've seen just so many people who need unemployment and they can't get through. So we want to know, why is that, and what's the state doing to fix it?
Thanks, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me and giving me this opportunity. First, I'm deeply sorry to everyone who is still waiting for their unemployment benefits. We are working day and night, all hands on deck approach to ensure that you get the benefits that you are entitled to, that you worked hard for, as soon as possible. The challenge with our call center is very real and not that different than any other state across the nation right now. We are experiencing an unprecedented number of claims being filed in the state of Ohio. Right now, we are at 855,000 claims filed in the past month or so since mid-March, which is more than what we experienced in the entire past 2 years. We are very diligently working on this. The call center is a challenge. We've staffed up from 42 employees that were manning the call center prior to mid-March, when we needed to do our temporary closures, to almost 1,600 employees on the phones right now. We have gathered them from agencies across the state, from within ODJFS, and we're also planning this week to scale and utilize virtual call center resources to continue to add individuals on the phones who can take the calls. The online option still remains very viable. We have deployed a chatbot, virtual assistant to answer questions. Claims can be filed online. 90% of them are being filed online. And so we just continue day over day, and we will not stop until every single one of you who are entitled to receive benefits gets them.
So we need to tell people to be patient. It is going to take a while because there are a lot of requests coming in. Director Hall, a lot of the people who are calling in saying that they applied for this maybe a month ago and they still haven't seen a payment. Walk us through the process and let us know, I guess, give us an average of how long it would take.
So the time that it takes to receive your first round of benefits really depends on the nature of the claim and how complex the issues may be. We know we have individuals who filed in mid-March who are already receiving their payments. So far, we've paid out $382 million to over 345,000 claimants. So we are moving forward with processing. Sometimes there are challenges with Social Security numbers or finding the employer verification, et cetera. And so that's where you get into longer processing times. So we are at a point where we are averaging between 7 and 21 days for processing, depending on the nature of the complexity of the claim.
Okay. I want to throw in a question from someone who had emailed me saying that they got denied because they hadn't been at their job long enough. Does that sound right?
So we do have in Ohio law certain thresholds around who's eligible to receive regular unemployment. Well, we call it regular unemployment benefits. And so there are thresholds in terms of earning $265 a week, working 20 hours a week for a period of time with an employer for a certain amount of longevity. Those individuals are not eligible for regular unemployment, but as a part of the CARES Act, Congress allowed for a new program, the PUA program as it's called, that will now allow for individuals who don't meet those thresholds, who are self-employed, who are 1099 filers, who may have previously exhausted their weeks, to also receive unemployment benefits. And so we will have that opportunity for that group of individuals who have been deeply impacted by COVID as well. Our expectation is at the end of this week to allow the process to begin for pre-registration for those individuals in that category, where they can go in, set up their account, and then prepare once the system is fully ready to file their application. And those benefits would begin processing in mid-May.
Okay. Thanks for clearing that up. I hope he's watching tonight and saw that answer. We have a question now. We have a question now, Director Hall, from Christy in Blacklick. She wanted to know when people here would get their extra $600 a week payment for unemployment.
Thank you. So the individuals who are in that regular unemployment group are entitled to an additional $600 a week, as well as the individuals I previously referenced in the PUA category. So all individuals who are eligible under either program will receive an additional $600 a week. And this week as well, we intend to launch the additional $600 for those in the regular unemployment program. And so those will begin processing at the end of this week as well. And so claimants should expect to see that additional $600 begin to be credited to their accounts by early next week.
Oh, good. Okay, good news. All right, another viewer sent us a text. They're saying that they don't have broadband and getting unemployment right now really feels impossible. What advice do you have for someone in this position?
We do know that not everyone in Ohio has access to broadband. The governor has highlighted that. The lieutenant governor has highlighted that. That has been a key initiative of the DeWine and Houston administration from the moment they took office. And so there have been times in the press conference and otherwise where we have shared, much like we need to support our students who don't have broadband access right now, but still need to continue their instruction in school. So there are parking lots that have hotspots. There are other areas where we know that libraries, et cetera, are extending that accessibility option for individuals to file.
Okay. Now, if people filed a while ago and they haven't received anything, will they still get paid? We're talking about back pay?
Yes. Yes, so all of the benefit eligibility is retroactive. And so the $600 per week opportunity that the federal government has given is retroactive to the date that they were first eligible, as well as the foundational, the base unemployment benefit payment is retroactive as well.
Okay. What do you think is the most important takeaway people should get from tonight as far as this is concerned and getting their money and the unemployment situation?
I would say the most important takeaway is that we are working night and day on this. We are issuing benefits and approving claims day over day. More claims are being approved and processed. We are really optimistic about what our expanded call center will do for individuals who have said that they have experienced challenges getting through on the line. We expect to be able to increase our processing times by having additional call center support so that our experts can focus on processing. And so I just have to say that, I deeply appreciate the patience. I know patience is not what you need right now. You need your benefits, and we're working to get them to you as soon as we can.
Okay. Director Hall from the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services, thank you so much for taking the time out to answer some of these questions. And we want to thank all of our viewers for sending those questions in. So thank you. Well, keep it here because up next, what if you're out of work and you need a new job? Resources to help you get hired just ahead.
Hi, my name is Cindy. I live in Perry County, Ohio. I'm an artist, and all of my summer festivals have been canceled through mid-July. So I'm concerned about that. And I have two sons, grown sons, both of whom have lost their jobs. And I'm very concerned about them.
Welcome back. We have heard dozens of stories just like Cindy's. And if you're one of the many people out there who's out of work right now, there are some employers who are looking for some help. So we brought in Lisa McDaniel from the Workforce Development Board. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me tonight, Yolanda. I appreciate the opportunity to tell people how we can be helpful.
Yeah, let's hope we can help some people tonight. We were able to partner up to do a couple of virtual job fairs. So how have those job fairs been going?
So what we are doing is virtual job fairs, meaning that they're online. Job seekers can register with us. We're doing them weekly, Tuesday or Thursday through Saturday for the next several weeks. And job seekers can go ahead and register online at our website, omjcfc.org. Starting at Tuesday at 8 a.m. They can interact with tutorials so they are prepared when they go online and know what to expect. They can interact with over 40 employers who are hiring right now in a variety of sectors. And they are going very well. We have had close to 1,000 job seekers already participate in our virtual hiring event, and we're very appreciative that 10 TV has been our media partner, along with our co-sponsors, One Columbus, the Columbus Chamber of Commerce, of course the board, and the Ohio Means Job Center.
Tell us about some of the industries that are hiring right now with everything, having been shut down. People are wondering what's even open. What industries are hiring?
Well, some of the employers we have right now include United Healthcare Group, Tiger Poly, Haggerty Insurance, Mount Carmel, Walmart, CVS, Chase Bank, and Giant Eagle. I tried to pick a broad range so you can see. Obviously, healthcare was an in-demand occupation before COVID-19, and it will continue to be very much in demand with plenty of jobs. Of course, you need credentials for some of those jobs, and at our Ohio Means Job Center, we're there to help you get that training and credentialing to get those jobs.
Okay, let's give some people some advice. Say they sign up and they want to do this and they get an interview. What can people do to prepare for an interview? Maybe they're a little rusty and they've been out of the game or haven't had to interview in a while. What would you tell people what to do? What are the important things to do to prepare for an interview?
Well, first of all, I would send you to our website because we have virtual seminars that talk about that very thing. They talk about interviewing, the kinds of questions you can expect, what are good ways to answer them appropriately, and to sell yourself to the employer. In addition, if you haven't had a resume in a while, you can also take advantage of our online virtual seminar and resumes. In addition, you can always contact our job center and talk to one of our talent development specialists if you are wanting to practice or if you feel you're not sure what kind of job you would best be suited for. And the people who work at the job center are the best staff in the county. I'm very proud of them. They are used to dealing and helping people when they're at potentially a very low moment in their lives. So I think the thing you have to know is that you need to be confident in yourself and you need to understand exactly what that employer is looking for. Read the job position description, and you can find those on the virtual hiring event. Okay. Each company has a booth. You can go into that booth, take a look at those job positions, and crosswalk what you do, what your talents and experience have been to those requirements that that job position is asking for, because that employer needs something, and it's on you to show them that whatever that something is, you have it to give to them.
Absolutely. So do your research. Sounds good.
Exactly.
What would you say to people who are frustrated right now and they just may have given up hope?
I know this is a very hard time, and I listened to my good friend, Director Hall, speak before me, and I understand that we have never seen this kind of volume. We are approaching 12%. Actually, we've probably now passed 12% unemployment here in Franklin County. But I truly believe we live in the best part of the state. The economy in Central Ohio is a growing, booming economy. And what people need is they just need to understand what those jobs require, and we're here to help them get what it is they need. We stick by you all through the process. We will practice interviewing with you. We will provide you support. We will bring you with other people and create a network of people who are also looking at jobs, and help you support each other. And, you know, it isn't hopeless. We've been here before and we came out of it. And I guarantee you, we're here again and we will come out of it. And we're all here to support you in that.
All right, Lisa, thank you so much for spending time with us tonight and offering us, you know, some advice and some help and some hope. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Well, if if you're finding yourself in a situation where you're concerned about having enough money to pay the bills, you are certainly not alone. Coming up next, we ask the experts about how to prioritize your payments. Which bills should you pay? Many people, not having a job means not having any money, and we don't have to tell you that makes it tough to survive financially. So how can you get by the next few weeks or possibly months? Tracy Townsend talked with the experts from Kimba Financial to answer some of your questions about how to get by.
Let's get right to it here. You know, people who aren't working, don't have money coming in, but they should have money going out for their bills. What do they do?
You know, the most important thing is not to bury your head in the sand and ignore it. I think the most important thing you can do is contact any kind of lenders that you have, talk to utility companies. You're going to find that everyone's trying to be as flexible as we possibly can. We're all in this together. And we're trying to work out amicable ways to do that.
And so how does that look, Mark? You know, a lot of times when you call, you're getting a recording. Is there a specific person you need to talk with?
Yeah, so typically where you would start out is everybody has a different name for it, whether it's the loss prevention area, collections, anything like that. Those are the people that traditionally do all kind of workout issues. But even if you talk to anybody, you can get on the phone at that point. I would tell you here at Kimba, we've got everybody pretty much cross-trained and everybody's prepared to take a phone call from a member that needs assistance. And we've got a lot of programs that all of the employees are educated on that you can take advantage of.
And if I were to defer a payment, and I heard this word, so I'll ask you about it again, forbearance. Tell us my options. How's this going to affect me if I skip payments?
Yeah, so it does come at a cost. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll take whatever payment that you put off to the end of the loan. So if you had a 60-month loan, perhaps now your maturity date's going to go out an extra day. And you got to keep in mind that interest accrues every single day. So now you've got 30 additional days where you're being charged interest on it. All that to say, Tracy, quite honestly, if you calculate it, a couple of days worth of interest is probably well worth it. If you're in a situation where you can't meet your obligations, it's certainly well worth the money. It's dollars, very small.
You know, Tracy, we've been saying just don't hide, right? I think a lot of times people want to just kind of ignore it and maybe it'll go away or they don't think they'll understand. You know, we're a member-owned cooperative, so we're not for profit. Hey, our members and our associates come first. So we want to help our members, and I believe the majority of financial institutions out there are in the same. I know credit unions, that they're going to want to work with you. So call, see what the options are, and then you can go from there and build a budget so that you can continue through whatever period of time this goes.
Can you speak to that sense of, that sense of pride that a lot of people have of, I don't want to say that this is going to be an issue?
Right. So it's a fantastic point, because we start with the premise that everybody wants to be able to meet their own needs and take care of their own bills. Unfortunately, we've all been equally had issues around this pandemic, and it doesn't matter who you are or how well protected you were from a lot of different things. This puts you into a new situation, and I think you have to be flexible, and you have to keep the end goal in mind, right? So I want to maintain my relationships with my financial institutions, with utility companies, and I'd rather work out a deal than just try and say I'm going to make it through, but then in the end, the math doesn't work, right? So I'd rather have that conversation, work out something that'll work out for both parties. And this is a time where everybody, again, is trying to work together to come to reasonable conclusions.
Sounds like it's not the time to ignore the phone call or the email or whatever means.
It really isn't. And I'd be honest with you, most of us in the finance industry, we kind of backed off. We're trying not to bother people. We know what's going on. And our outbound calls a lot of times aren't, hey, give me money, give me money. It is really about, what can we do? We know you're in a situation. Are you working right now? Is your employer planning on hiring you back? Are you on a furlough, or were you actually laid off? What does the future look like for you? And right now, we don't know any further than maybe May 1st, right? Depending on what Governor DeWine does.
Right. And it sounds like, if you have concerns about your credit rating, because, we all have hope that this is going to end at some point, there are going to be some allowances for this particular time in history.
Oh, absolutely.
Some consideration.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, any kind of agreements that we make with people, we are not marking you late. You made an agreement with us. We had an agreement initially. Something happened. We both agreed to another outcome. And so the intent of this isn't to mark somebody tardy over a pandemic situation. It's really to be accurately reflective of what the relationship looked like. So yeah, absolutely. The credit reporting agencies have all given us special coding to use in the event that we get into a forbearance agreement, or there's also modifications, which is a different kind of a forbearance arrangement, Tracy. But we've got the way, no one out there is going to be trying to mark anybody late unless there's no communication. And then maybe, I don't know. When we're in these kind of situations, your most basic needs need to be taken care of first, perhaps. So if you do have some money, pay your house payment or your rent first. Pay your car payment, your insurance. Those are the three things that you absolutely, if you got a little bit of money, and typically those are bigger amounts of money. So not putting them off where you're going to maybe have to have higher payments or more payments down the road. That's the strategy you should probably be thinking about as well.
The other thing through this is, curtail spending as you can. As you're doing your budget, this might not be the time to order out or to buy, excess staple goods. So build that budget, see what you can afford to start putting away, and then build that up to at least 3 months of your monthly expenses.
Great information. I think our viewers will really like this.
All right, that really is some good information. Don't be afraid of your banking institution or your bills. Don't run from them. Communicate and work something out. So thank you, Tracy. All right, coming up next, keeping food on the table, feeding your family, the places you can go for help if you're in need of groceries. The COVID-19 outbreak brought the economy to a screeching halt. Some people ended up without a job abruptly, making it harder to meet the basic needs of life. And that includes feeding their families. We're joined now by Matt Habash with Mid-Ohio Food Collective and Joe Mazzola from Franklin County Public Health. Gentlemen, first of all, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to start with you, Matt. Matt, tell us about the need that you all are seeing right now.
Well, right here in Franklin County, since March 23rd, we are up 38% in terms of the number or the amount of food that we've moved. We're up about 31% in the number of families that we've helped over the same time period a year ago. So we're seeing a lot more people. We're encouraging people to even give more food at every visit just to keep everybody safe. So it's up. It's continuing to stay up. We're seeing a lot of new families that have never shown up before. And we're encouraging people that if they need help to come.
Now, what do people need to know if they do indeed need help?
They just need to, you can go onto our website and find a location close to you. You can always come to here, to the Mid-Ohio Food Collective, to our food bank, where we have a pantry that's open, Tuesday through Saturday, open on nights, as well. As well as there's 98% of the agencies that we are partnering with across our 20 county footprint are still open. And all you have to do is show up and express the need, and we will take care of you in a very safe way with, practicing all the social distancing that's possible.
Now, you mentioned numbers being up. This situation, this pandemic, has really put a lot of people in a situation to need help that have never needed it in their life. They've had their job, been employed, they've gainful employment and been able to provide for their families, and now it's something new. And a lot of them may be hesitant to ask for help. They may be embarrassed to ask for help. What message do you have for people who may be in that sort of situation?
There's absolutely no judgment in this at all. If people need help, we want them to come get it. There are so many issues that every one of these families are facing. The last thing we want them to worry about is food. We have food. We started very early in March. We've ordered 82 additional tractor trailer loads. We ordered 55 between July and in the middle of March. So we're ordering a lot of food. 30 of those trucks are already here. We already have a lot of other food that's coming in, produce and fresh food as well. That's continuing. So the food is here, and we want people to come take that off their minds with all the other issues that they're addressing. So there's absolutely no judgment in this at all.
Good, good. All right, we want to bring Joe in now. Joe, Franklin County Public Health deals with so many issues that are touching people's lives. Tell us about this issue. How has COVID-19 impacted the way that you're serving Franklin County residents?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us tonight. We certainly appreciate this opportunity, such an important conversation. So like every other organization, COVID-19 has changed the way that we provide public health services as well. We've had to cancel clinics. We've had to pull people out of the field for their own safety and protection, and really shifted a lot of our staff to this COVID-19 response. So we've had well over 100 of our 115 staff members involved in some way, shape, or form working on this COVID-19 response. We, of course, are doing so much in the area of prevention, reaching out to our stakeholders, reaching out to our local municipalities, our school districts, our universities. And so that's been a really key part of our engagement with this. But then also involving more of our staff in terms of our contact tracing. You hear a lot about that. And so that's an important part of our public health activity, is making sure that once we identify someone who is COVID-19 positive, that we isolate them and that we do that appropriate contact tracing. And that's taken up a lot of our staff time. A lot of our public health nurses and epidemiologists working really 24 hours a day on that effort. So working to identify those potential close contacts and involving them in terms of self-quarantining. And then the third part that I would want to mention is that, like any public health issue, we really strive to make sure that we are understanding the disease burden of COVID-19. And so from an equity standpoint, from a health disparity standpoint, we know that COVID-19 is affecting certain populations more than others, those with coexisting or comorbidities, health conditions like heart disease and lung disease, diabetes and cancer, and which we already knew that we have those disparities. And so this is really just exacerbating those disparities. So we're taking a really close look at that as well. And so, this has really been, for us, an all hands on deck approach. Our health department is working diligently, again, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on this. And it's been our priority and our really almost our exclusive focus over the last 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay. Now, we are talking with other experts tonight on some of these greatest needs. How is Franklin County Public Health working with residents to get them access to the resources they may need?
Yeah, so thanks for asking. So one of the programs that I'm really proud of at the health department is we are a part of what's called the Central Ohio Pathways Hub. And that's a program that's coordinated by the Healthcare Collaborative of Greater Columbus. So as part of that hub, we are an agency that employs community health workers. We actually have 4 community health workers at the health department, and it's their job to work with individuals to go through what are called pathways. So those pathways could be anything from finding employment opportunities to finding stable housing, talking about food assistance here this evening, getting them connected to the food bank and other resources there. And there's a whole host of other issues, many of which you've already touched on this evening. So our community health workers really stand ready to work with residents who are experiencing challenges in those areas. And so residents can call us at any time and call us at 614-525-4892. Again, at 614-525-4892. And you can get connected to one of our community health workers. And then we also, of course, have information about that on our website, which is myfcph.org. And right there on the home screen, you can see information about the hub program and how you can get connected to a community health worker.
Okay. What can Franklin County residents do to help our local economy and the overall public health recover from this crisis?
Sure. And again, certainly an important question. Right now, the best thing that we can continue to do is what we have been doing. First and foremost, just stay at home. And we know that's been difficult. And we thank every resident in our health jurisdiction who has really taken that advice and stayed at home as much as possible. But for those who do need to go out, for those essential workers, please make sure you're wearing a face covering when you're going out. If you need to go to the store, wear a face covering, and also continue with that social distancing, that physical distancing that we keep hearing about and talking about as well. Washing your hands, so important, covering your cough, all of those core things. But in addition to that, I would say, check on your neighbor, make a phone call to your family and friends. We certainly all understand that this pandemic has really put a lot of stress on all of us. And so check on your neighbors, check on your family. If you're healthy, there's plenty of volunteer opportunities in the community. I know with the food bank and others, there's a ton of opportunities for those who can volunteer to do so. But then also, if you are in need of a resource, if there's something that you need, please do not hesitate to reach out. And I think what I've heard over the course of this evening is that there are resources out there for those who need them. So please don't hesitate to do that. And for us at the health department, we're going to continue with this response moving forward. Please visit our website for more information about COVID-19, about the hub, or really anything else that we provide at the health department that might be of benefit.
All right, thank you. I mean, it sounds cliche. We say it all the time. We are all in this together, but we really are. So Matt Habash, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. Joe Mazzola, thank you. Thank you both, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right. Well, still to come here, coping with all these changes. The signs you need to watch out for to make sure the people around you are keeping their minds as well as their bodies healthy. Having to stay home day after day can be really tough on people, especially if you're used to being around coworkers or just being able to go to the store without any worry. Tracy Townsend is back with us to highlight how to cope with it all.
Let's face it, a lot has changed in our lives over the past couple of weeks. So how do we deal with all that is happening? Well, we are joined by Dr. Robert Campbell of Columbus Springs, and we are looking at you, Dr. Campbell, for some answers, because you've said that fear is a big emotion that a lot of people are experiencing right now, and it comes in waves or stages. Can you tell us what you've seen?
Well, I'll tell you, we've seen a wave of emotions. We've seen fear. We're now starting to see anger. We're seeing depression, irritability, poor sleep, confusion, and just a variety of things. This is something new for Americans for the most part because they've never been told that they have to stay at home, occupy themselves. And of course, the people that it's the hardest on are those that don't have contact with any sort of personal media, cameras that they can Skype or Zoom with. And so they have, people have really had a hard time coping. First it was the fear that themselves or family members would get the virus. And then they started worrying about, I'm not sure why everybody thought they were going to have a lot more toilet paper, but pretty soon that completely disappeared. It kind of reminded me when I lived in Miami of getting ready for a hurricane. Now the big thing is, a lot of people are unemployed. They have economic insecurity. They have mortgages and car payments that are coming up. And so I've seen personally a rise in the anxiety that this has provoked. A lot of people have a tipping point and they go along without any sort of psychopathology for a long time, but external stressors can tip that over the edge. It can even, for some people, cause suicidal or homicidal thoughts. And then my personal specialty, besides psychiatry, is addiction psychiatry. And I have seen a wave of people so far relapse over this. And so it's become a very difficult problem.
So can you kind of give us an idea of how we as friends and family members of these people might see these things manifest themselves? I'm thinking about social media, but what are some other signs we should look for?
Well, any kind of change in mood, you have a happy-go-lucky person, that you're normally dealing with, and suddenly they're irritable, or they feel depressed, or they're not sleeping well, or they're not eating, all the basic signs of depression, feelings of anxiety that they don't normally have. Like I say, they may behave in a more irrational manner. There's this feeling of helplessness with all this going on, and helplessness is a kind of a prodromal symptom for depression. And so many people just don't have normal coping mechanisms or good mechanisms that they can use, because they just don't have much in their toolbox. They may have had some minor crises in the past, but nothing like this. Many people have never faced anything like this. I've seen, young people, high school people, they're not going to get to have a graduation ceremony. They're not going to be the valedictorian who gets to stand up there and give the speech that they've been working on. The athletes, this was their big year as seniors to try to secure a scholarship, and now it's kind of gone by the wayside. The unemployment figures have just skyrocketed. As we know, many people are not going to survive. Many businesses are not going to survive. And in the elderly people, that we've seen some increase in confusion and desperation, and like I said, feelings of hopelessness. There are ways to cope with that, but many people don't know how. We have to kind of tell them what to do. I have a list that's probably 40 or 50 items long as to what people can do at home. And now there's a confusion as to when is this going to end. Some states are starting to liberalize their stay-at-home orders. I just saw that some southern states are going to basically try to go back to normal. So there's a confusion between amongst the populace with what is the right thing to do. We have to kind of balance the safeguards along with trying to maintain our economy.
All right, so Dr. Campbell, you've given us a lot there. What do we do? Where do we start when we do start to have those feelings of being overwhelmed?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. We have at my hospital, Columbus Springs East, we have a 24 hours basically available. People can call. We can help them cope. We actually have a new intensive outpatient program there just for people who are stressed over the COVID virus pandemic. If they call 614-300-9100, they can be patched right in and get set up. And if they can have an iPhone or an iPad or a computer, we can do telepsychiatry right over the airwaves to help them cope with this situation. We can provide them with a list via email of all sorts of things to do. Some people will binge watch their TV shows. Some people will walk their dog. I think it's important to keep your curtains open, keep your drapes open, get some fresh air, sit out back, do some gardening, things like that that don't, you can maintain social distancing without jeopardizing yourself. Pets are extremely protective. Dog and cat owners have a suicide rate about 1/3 of the national average. And so that's because of the feeling of accountability and the feelings that you love something unconditionally and they love you. And so it's really, really been important to stay in touch. I have 5 kids and 14, I think it's 14, I can't keep up, grandkids. And so several times a week, we have a internet-based game session that lasts several hours. I can see my kids on the computer. I can see my grandkids. And I think it's important to try to maintain as much normalcy as possible and still maintain the guidelines of trying to keep yourself and your family members safe.
All right, that human connection always there. Dr. Robert Campbell of Columbus Springs, thank you so much for talking with us.
You're very welcome.
All right, a lot of good tips and advice there. And, you know, it's not just adults. Kids are adjusting to a new way of life as well. They're not seeing their friends, not going to school, not outside playing. We talk with an expert to break down just how to answer your little ones' questions and how to tell if they're really doing okay. Stay with us. Us adults have never seen anything like this, so imagine what this must be like for kids. What should you discuss with them and what topics should you avoid? Dr. Nicole Dempster with Nationwide Children's Hospital is here to shed some light on that subject. So thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Well, first, Nicole, the normal school year came to an abrupt end. Suddenly, kids found themselves thrown out of their normal routine and separated from the teachers and the friends that they're used to seeing every day. So how do you help them deal with that change?
I think the first thing we have to do is just normalize that it's okay to be really disappointed and frustrated. There was a lot of things they were looking forward to doing, especially as we get towards the end of the school year, and that it's okay to feel bad. After you've given them some time to let them process that, then we want to move to, well, what can we do to control it? How can I find times to feel what you're doing that make you feel happy? So letting them pick the activities they want to do, let them have some say in the structure you make throughout your day. Let them maybe choose, what do you do on Monday to make it look different than Tuesday, to make it look different than Wednesday?
What do kids tell you? You work with kids and deal with them. What are you finding that they're most worried about during this time?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the two things I hear the most is, one, how it impacts them personally. So kids really care about, they get something big is happening, but they really care about they're missing the choir practice or the play or the basketball game. And that's okay that that's what they're about, because that's what they were supposed to care about. So we want to take our feelings of maybe the bigger picture and let them just have their experience, and then again move them to what they can control. But the second thing I hear a lot about is just things are so uncertain. We don't know what to expect. We don't know what's coming next. The rules keep changing every day, and we can't give them final answers. And so again, we want to make sure we bring up these conversations and ask them what they're thinking, and then focus on what could they control in this capacity. Could they maybe mow a neighbor's lawn? Could they come up with the next family game night? Let them feel like they can be part of it, and let them know that we're sound and secure and that we are always here and a safe spot for them to come to.
Okay. Now, as a parent, when parents are trying to figure out, you know, how do I help my child? How do I keep them busy, keep them entertained? What should parents be doing to help their children?
I think thinking of what I like to say is activities that keep both your brain and your hands really busy. So just scrolling on your phone or watching Netflix isn't enough to really give us satisfaction. But when we do something, like we build a puzzle and we see a beautiful picture come up, or we cook a meal together and bake cookies, that lets them see something. It really engages them and makes them feel like they've accomplished something today, because they're accomplishing less than they used to when they were at school and spending time with friends. The other thing I was surprised by in my work with children is they are not initiating a lot of video conversation with kids. And so some of them are happening to get more socially isolated, where we thought they were more the tech people. So we have to prompt them. Why don't you try doing a video? Why don't you play an app game while looking at them and talking to them at the same time? And making sure they're getting some of that social connectedness while still being physically distant.
Because that communication and physical connectiveness is very important for kids. How do you know if something's not right? What are the signs that your kid is not okay during this time?
I think we have to normalize first that like all of us feel often uncomfortable. We're all a little bit more down, we're all a little bit more worried, and we just feel like we're missing certain things. But if we see our kids take it more to the extreme, if they're not coming out of their room, if they're sleeping all the time or they're having a lot of trouble sleeping, if they change their patterns in eating or they become really crankier than usual, then we know that something's up and we want to reach out. I also want to be clear that mental health resources are still available. We're not shut down. We are doing it virtually, just like this interview, but we are here for the kids and we want everyone to feel supported.
Now, you mentioned that screen time, Netflix and playing on your phone, that's just not going to cut it. Well, how do you, I guess, limit that? What about that screen time? Because you know kids are stuck to those phones and those, toys.
It's true, and I think we all want to give ourselves a little grace. We're all using a little bit more screen time, or if you're a work from home parent, you might need to actually use screen time to get a few things done. We just want to use it more on purpose, using it for the times you really don't have time to give to your kids so you can finish up work, or if it's their favorite show. But then you can also find a lot of ways that screen time can be still socially connected and then prompt them to take a break after an hour or two and let's go outside.
What about when we come out of this situation? Do you think there's going to be a transition there that we'll need to help kids with getting back to normal?
Yeah, I think there's going to be two camps of kids. There's going to be the kids who are all completely back to normal, maybe too quickly or very socially getting together. And I think there's going to be some people who are really, really hesitant to trust how to do that. And so we want to work to make staying in games of the rules and still keeping our distance and still having a lot of fun and making it exciting for kids, but also showing them a lot of confidence and that we can be okay.
Mm-hmm. Tell me, is there anything that we should not tell the kids or explain to the kids, or is it best to be open with them? You see the news, they have all the coverage of what's going on and people contracting this and people passing away from this. Is that too much for the kids? What do you think about that?
I think they're going to find out anyways. And so for us to be people that they really trust, we want to be open and truthful. But we want to be sure where they're getting their information from to make sure that it's a credible source. And we want to make sure that we end on, again, some spot of security and that we're going to be okay. And these are the things that we're doing to stay safe. The one thing I've been telling parents to try not to say is just don't worry. Don't worry, it's an adult issue, because that doesn't tell a kid what to do, and they are worrying a little bit.
Right, it's one of those things, it is something to worry about, and you need to take precautions to stay safe, and that's something kids need to know as well. So I want to thank you so much for taking the time to share this information with us. I'm sure a lot of parents found that very helpful. So thank you very much, Dr. Nicole Dempster from Nationwide Children's Hospital. And we want to thank everyone who joined us tonight to share their thoughts and their advice, and we hope that you got something out of it as well. We wanted to help shine the light on some of the questions you've been asking us, so we went to the experts and tried to get some answers for you. We know we couldn't answer all of your questions because there were just so many, but we want you to know that we are dedicated to pushing to getting the answers you need, as well as helping you to move through this unprecedented time that we're going through. So stay home, stay safe, and we're here for you.